Hello, yes, and welcome to another episode of MLS Ireland. Well, I'll be bringing to you my predictions for week 3 of MLS. Let's get into it. Perfect, thank you very much for joining me. Yes, my name is Sean, and yes, this is my prediction show. And if you're curious why I'm late and stuff like that, I kind of got a head cold, so you'll probably be hearing me trying to cough and trying not to cough at the same time without coughing and lung up and kind of stuff like that. So stay with me. Anyway, if you're new to this, hit that subscribe button, you know, all that kind of jazz, like, subscribe and all that, whatever all these YouTubers kind of say. And if you're new to this and you don't follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitter. No. Anyway, last week I done pretty well for myself in my predictions. I got probably one or two, not badly wrong, but maybe two badly wrong. Sporting Kansas City against Orlando, I predicted 1-1. It ended 1-1. That was the first game. I got really excited. And the next game was New York City against Cincinnati. I predicted 2-0 and ended 5-0, which I was quite happy with. That's one of the nearest ones. I got New England Revolution against DC United, correct. Los Angeles Galaxy against Red Bulls. It ended 3-2. I predicted 2-1. You know, a lot of games I got actually pretty good. Probably the only one I kind of got badly wrong was, I think, Philadelphia. I got beat by Inter Miami. But then again, Philadelphia are playing in the Champions League, and I kind of think they kind of got sidetracked by that. So, even though they played last night, 2 nights ago, against Atlanta, and basically wiped the floor with them. So, these are going to be my predictions. All saying these teams may be playing in the Champions League, and teams could be flipped about, and the best players may not be playing. So, don't take this to heart as much as you really should, because it's pretty good. So, obviously, I'll kick on with the first game. New York Red Bulls against Chicago Fire. New York Red Bulls they haven't won a home game as of yet. There's only one game at home against Chicago Fire, who haven't won a away game at home as of yet. Both games away from home have been over 2.5 goals. If you're a betting person, this may be something that you may think about. So yeah, it could be a good, interesting game. I think New York Red Bulls are probably are not that bad at the moment. What did they do last week? They got beat by LA Galaxy. It was a pretty good game. I think Chicarico was, anyway, I'll get into that later on. But Chicago Fire probably still not at it perfectly yet. But I'll go for a 2-1 win to New York Red Bulls. I'll go for New York Red Bulls are probably the better team going into this game, so I'll go with that. The next was Real Salt Lake, first game at home against Sporting Kansas City. Sporting Kansas City are the favourites probably going into this game. They are winning their games as probably the best as they can. They're coming up against Real Salt Lake, who won last week, which wasn't a bad game, all case and saying, or whatever the hell the bloody expression is. Anyway, I think Sporting Kansas City will probably win this game 3-1. Sporting Kansas City are probably still the far better team. Sorry, like I said, I'm not great. Anyway, I'm going to go for a 3-1 win. I'm going to try and see if I can wrap this up pretty quickly. The next one is Montreal against Columbus Crew. Columbus Crew, who played last night, drew 2-2, which is a pretty good game. All saying, they play now against Montreal in Orlando. I don't know where they play now, or Montreal. But saying that, I think Montreal are a surprise at this moment. They won their first game and then drew their second game, whereas Crew, how did they do? In the Columbus Crew, they just have only played one game and they drew that. So coming up against Montreal for Montreal's home team kind of game, I'm going to go for a 1-0. I think Columbus Crew probably still have an eye on the return leg, where it's based 2-2 at the moment. So I think Montreal probably have a good chance to get a good result out of this. But I think just for the fact is Montreal, I still am not sold on Montreal at the moment, so I'm going to still go for a 1-0. And Columbus Crew are the better team, so I'm going to go for that. The next one is Houston Dynamo against Los Angeles FC. This may be a game that's actually going to be on TV here on probably a good time, so I'll get to actually see what these two are like this season. Saying that, Houston Dynamo are, I'm not going to say surprising at the moment. They did win their first game, but then they lost their second game, so that's really not that surprising against a good team in LAFC who won their first game but drew their second game. It's pretty one. It's going to be a difficult one to say. Houston is at home, but LAFC are away, so 2-1 win to Los Angeles. I just think they have probably the better team coming into this, whereas Houston are still probably trying to figure the one or two things out. They kind of started off very, very well and then went very Houston. So the next game is New England Revolution against Atlanta. Atlanta got beat 2 nights ago against Philadelphia, so they're coming up against the New England Revolution team, who I think are not playing totally bad. They drew the first game, then they won their last game, so that was a pretty good result for them against DC United. So saying that, they're coming up against an Atlanta team who are still don't know their strongest squad as of yet, so I'm going to go for a New England win, 2-0. Atlanta still, I'm not completely convinced on their team as of yet, so I'm going to go for 2-0 on that one. The next one is Orlando against FC Cincinnati. FC Cincinnati has drew their first game and lost their last game. Not convincing at the moment, although I think Acosta is still, I'm not going to say their best player. Even though they got beat 5-0 against New York City FC, I don't think that's a full reflection on what this team can do. Although that they're coming up against a very good Orlando team who have a lot of good players. So I'm going to go for like a 2-0 win to Orlando. Sorry, Cincinnati. I would love one of your tops if you fancy sending me one. That'd be nice. I'll give you a $5 or $1. I'll give you $1. Have $1. Yeah, wherever I was. 2-0. The next one is Philadelphia against New York City FC. New York won 5-0 against Cincinnati, and whereas Philadelphia got beat by Inter Miami, which was quite a surprising one. But like I said, they could have had an eye on the Champions League, so they could have taken their eye off it, and they could still probably be taking their eye off it coming into this game. But I think New York City FC are, although they did look pretty good against FC Cincinnati, it was against FC Cincinnati, to be fair, and I think Philadelphia now would kind of be on a high. To get them to the form, I think they are going to pick a good strong team coming into this one, and they're going to win 2-1. Philadelphia are just the far better squad all round, and yeah, I'm going to go for a 2-1 win in Philadelphia. So the next one is FC Dallas against Portland. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I haven't really seen the two of them play for say. Portland has won one game, their last game, and then they lost their first game, whereas Dallas has drew and lost. So I'm not going to be stuck down too much on this one, so I'm going to go for like a Portland 1-0 win. Don't think FC Dallas really fills me with hope this season. They're not going to get relegated, so there's no problem there. The next one is Minnesota against Austin. Austin actually quite surprised me last week. They actually won a game, so that's not too bad. They won it actually quite well. Yeah, against Colorado Rapids, away against Colorado Rapids. I think this game's going to be away because their stadium's not finished yet. They're coming up against the Minnesota team who's lost. The only team, and Red Bulls, the only two teams really. One of two teams has lost their first two games. So saying that, that's not a bad omen coming into the game, but I think it's going to be like a 1-1 draw. These two teams are not the worst coming into this, so I'm just going to stick with like a 1-1 draw. My computer made a beeping noise, but it seems to be fine. Yeah, I'm going to go for a 1-0. The next one is San Jose Earthquakes against DC United. San Jose completely surprised me last week, and then, well, it surprised me the first week because I predicted they will play well, and then they play crap. Then I predicted that they will play badly, and then they played brilliantly. So coming into this one, it's going to be pretty exciting because they're going to be against the DC United team who lost their last game, but then beat New York City FC, which, you know, MLS is crazy buys. So yeah, I'm going to go for like a San Jose 2-1 win if they can keep up this form. They are at home, so I guess the DC United team who have to fly across. I know they have all week to do it, but you know, I think a San Jose team should probably win this one quite easily. Well, not easily, but 2-1. I'm going to go for 2-1. The next one is Nashville against Inter Miami. Nashville still pretty good so far this season. They drew their first 2 games, whereas Inter obviously lost their first game and then drew their second game. Coming into this, I think Inter Miami probably are the strongest squad. Definitely the best attacker, so I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Inter. As I said, I think they have the better attackers. As long as Higuain has a good game, they should really easily win this game. Seattle Sounders against LA Galaxy. Now, Chicharito, who basically scored 2 goals last season, which, let's face it, wasn't a great return. This season he has 5 and 2, so it's a tiny improvement, so not too bad. They're coming up against the Seattle Sounders, who are probably still not going to say the best all-round team in the MLS, but they seem to have a good foundation and are always there in the mix near the end, so they are still a pretty good team. They're always consistent, that's what I mean. So coming up against a good consistent team, I think LA Galaxy would have their work cut out, but I think they're going to get a good result in this one. So I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. The game is going to be in Seattle. I think Seattle are they're second in the league at the moment. They won their first game but drew their second game, but they have the best goal difference record. So yeah, so they drew against LAFC and then beat Minnesota in their first game of the season. So it's not going to be a bad game. So yeah, that's going to be a pretty good game to watch. Seattle Sounders against LA Galaxy, and then the last one is Vancouver against Colorado Rapids. 2 teams. I'm not going to say that excite me. That would be a lie. It's not going to be a bad game. I'm not going to be predicting a lot of happening in that game. Their last games are not really big goal scoring games as well. So Vancouver beat Portland. Then they beat Vancouver. Where are you, Vancouver? They are in 8th in the league, and they've won their first game and then they drew their second game. So against Toronto, which wasn't a bad one, and Colorado Rapids drew the first game against Dallas and then lost against Austin. So yeah, I'm going to go for like a Vancouver 2-1 win. If I'm going to go on form and where they are in the league, I'm going to go for a quite not a comfortable, but I think it is going to be a comfortable win. But I think Colorado Rapids are going to get a goal, and it's not going to look on paper that all convincing. But that is my predictions. If you, as I said, I have a bit of a cold and I try to rattle through this a wee bit quickly, even though half it could have not made any sense. Thank you for sticking with it. I shall see you on the next one, and I'll try not to be late, but I shouldn't have all this crap in my nose at the moment. So I'll see you then. Bye now.